A whistleblower from Pets at Home, a massive pet goods retailer, has revealed that the pet retailer is the latest big company to be captured by trans ideology campaigners. Haven't they captured them all? Joining me right now to discuss this is James Esses. He's the founder of the Declaration for Biological Reality, which I am a proud signatory of, and indeed everyone should be, because if you don't believe in biological reality, then what do you believe in? James Esses, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Julia.
I mean, I saw this. You put it out online. Had a deep sigh. Got myself a cup of tea. I thought I'm going to need to brace myself for this. You've exposed an awful lot of companies. We've been talking about Waitrose and John Lewis for not even just what they are doing that's customer fronting, the non-stop pride flags and you know, signs everywhere, going on and on about all the trans issues constantly, which I think an awful lot of us, frankly, just find very, very tedious and unnecessary. I don't want to be bombarded with the politics of a company at all. But what you discovered with Waitrose and John Lewis, which we spoke to you about on the show recently, was what's going on in their sort of in the back rooms, what's going on for their staff, where you've got like staff magazines which are pushing this idea, this agenda, including, in the case of Waitrose and John Lewis, the same company, obviously, the pushing the agenda of things like breast binders for girls. Very bad for girls, and really not something at all that has any business going into a workplace magazine. Pets at Home, though, you've now been sent some information on. Massive retailer. I bought all guinea pigs from them. All of the goods. Very good store. Certainly somewhere, you know, that I've shopped in the past, and most people who have pets will have bought stuff from them. What have they been doing?
Well, quite right, Julie. And, you know, the customer-facing stuff, as frustrating as it is, at least it's out there in the open. But what's more concerning is what's going on behind the scenes. And yes, I'm being contacted by disgruntled employees, most recently now at Pets for Home, who are finding that they're having ideology telling them that they've got white privilege, telling them that they must disclose their pronouns at the start of every conversation. And this stuff's being pushed on them day to day through the business, and they've had enough of it. But the problem is that they don't feel able to challenge it within the workplace, because if they do, they fear that they're going to lose their jobs over it.
I mean, this is the thing. Even if people aren't signed up to this stuff and they just want to go about their daily lives, and by the way, are not in any way transphobic or bigoted or racist, they just live their lives like most people in this country do, taking people on their own merits and not judging people on these things anyway. They are having this basically thrust down their gullets every single day. I mean, I'm amazed that job application forms for Pets at Home include asking candidates directly, are you trans? I mean, again, I can't imagine why whether you are trans or not is remotely relevant to your ability to sell dog blankets.
Oh, well, quite right. And you can see through the policies the kind of subtle pressure, the screws being turned, you know. So, for example, there's a whole piece about why it's important to share your pronouns. And they say it's not mandatory, but essentially, if you don't do it, you'll be making people feel singled out, you'll be ostracizing your colleagues, and also it will go against what we're asking of you. So, you know, that is optional in name only. Equally, Pets at Home have got a transitioning at work policy, and they say to their trans staff, you know, men identifying as women, use whatever toilet you feel comfortable with, and we will support you through that venture. But to the rest of the staff who might have a concern, they're essentially told that if they try and challenge this, that the company will come down on them like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, what I find really fascinating, they've got lots of terminology. Cisgender, a term I don't accept, refers to people whose gender identity aligns with the biological sex they were assigned at birth, often abbreviated to cis. I ain't a cis woman, I'm a woman, there's only one kind, there isn't a subset. I talk about gender fluid, intersectionality, where a white trans woman, for example, would have a different experience and a different set of privileges to that of a black trans woman. But also, they refer to psychological safety, feeling that you are able to express your opinions, beliefs and ideas without fear of humiliation, judgment or punishment, except for people who want to say, I don't believe that you can change your biology. I don't believe that men, however they are dressed or however they identify, should be in women's toilets. I don't believe that I should have to dress you as he or she or they when you are not that particular thing. Those people, it would appear, it's perfectly happy to humiliate, judge and punish.
Well, that's right. In the name of inclusion, they're excluding people. In the name of diversity, they're trying to create a, set of robots who kind of think homogeneously one way. I mean, this concept of psychological safety, I think, is for the birds anyway, because to tell to people that their safety is at risk should somebody disagree with or even dare to say judge them for something they might say. I mean, it's quite worrying anyway. I mean, the most worrying thing I came across actually in this was a webinar being hosted for staff, and the facilitator started off running through her list of privileges. It was a webinar on privileges, and I was hearing the usual stuff. I'm a cisgender, heterosexual, white, and then she said childless. And I had to double take for a moment, and I went back and recorded it and listened to it again a few times. And she actually said childless. So here was a woman suggesting to staff members that if you don't have children, that this is in some way considered to be a privilege. And I'm thinking to myself, what message is this sending to the couples out there who, for whatever reason, are unable to have children? Do they consider themselves privileged? I mean, it's disgraceful.
It really is. But also, I mean, again, going back to this glossary, their definition of the word transphobia is including the denial or refusal to accept their gender identity. So if I refuse to accept that a man is a woman or a woman is a man, I'm transphobic. Well, I mean, that's not the meaning of the word. A fear or a hatred of trans people is what transphobia is. I neither fear nor have any negative feelings to anyone who is trans. Therefore, I'm not transphobic. But under their definition, I would be. The person who got in touch, the whistleblower on this, there'll be just one person of the many thousands. I mean, this is a huge chain of stores. They have hundreds of stores around the country. They're in the FTSE 250, aren't they? They are a big company. This is just one person who's come forward. Are they seeing people being hounded out of the jobs if they speak up, or are people just too afraid to speak up?
Generally, from my conversations with employees, people are just trying to keep their head down.
Yeah.
Particularly with, we're living through difficult economic times. People don't feel that they're able to kind of speak out and risk their reputation and their livelihood. The problem is, until people do start to speak out, we're not really going to change this. But, for the time being, if people don't feel able to speak out, the crucial thing is, and I'm always available to report on this, for people to reach out, to send and circulate materials that are, being kept behind closed doors, because we need to shine a spotlight on this madness.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can reach James Esses on Twitter. Esses is ESSES. Or you can send stuff via me and I'll pass it on to him. Also, by the way, if you do work at Pets at Home and you are dealing with this issue and you're being accused of something which you've not done anything wrong because of this mad policy, I'll help you crowdfund your legal fees for your employment tribunal. I will get out there. I've got more than 500,000 followers on Twitter. We will help you fund that. And I'm sure James Esses would help publicise that as well, because people do need to speak 100%. About this. Because we're told this is constant, this is about equality, this is about diversity, this is about inclusion. This is a grift. That's what it is. This is a grift by a lot of people making a lot of money working in this field. A lot of organisations, Stonewall, Mermaids, who are pushing a lot of this ideology. Again, they get money back from these companies for being employed to. People go on these courses. We see the civil service doing it as well. There is a huge industry of this, playing that you are either a bad person or a victim, depending on whether you're white or straight or anything else. It's all a lie. It's all a load of nonsense. It's all dishonest. And it's all based on fear and on difference, as opposed to people just getting on and rubbing shoulders with and living their life. It is utterly irrelevant to me whether any person I work with is a man or a woman, gay, straight, trans, black, white. I couldn't care less. It's totally irrelevant. Are you someone who can do the job or not do the job? That's all that we should be talking about. Are you good with customers? If you work in Pets at Home, you're good with the pets? Do you know yourself? Do you turn up to work on time? Everything else is completely irrelevant, isn't it?
Completely. But we live in a society, unfortunately, in which it pays to be a victim.
Yeah.
And we seem to be promoting mental ill health within organisations. I think the only way to deal with this, with these corporations, is to hit them where it hurts, which is in the pocket. I mean, I've got a lot of family and friends who are secretly frustrated with me because I'm blowing the lid on all of their favourite companies.
Oh,
and, I must admit,
this is a big issue for me, because I'm a big fan of a waitress and John Lewis. Luckily, I don't have a pet anymore, so I'm all right on that front. Wickes, I have driven past my local Wickes store to go to another hardware store to spend my hard-earned money, because the bosses of Wickes think I'm a bigot. because I don't accept all this madness and nonsense, along with most of the population. And we need to act with our wallets, don't we? I must read a Pets at Home statement. Here we go. At Pets at Home, we aim to reflect the diversity of the communities we operate in, and empowering every colleague can help us achieve this. The information referenced in this article was created in response to colleague feedback requesting more specific guidance from the business on how to be inclusive. Yeah, of course it was. It is a guide to ensure that all colleagues and customers are treated with respect. Well, of course, that's not true, is it? It's because it's not treating women with respect. You would like to be in a toilet without a man walking in. But there we are. Just finally, I do want to ask you, though, James Esses, about another story in the news, front of the Telegraph today, pointing out that the cat killer and murderer, I do think murderer should come before cat killer. I'm going out on a limb here. Scarlett Blake, sentenced to 24 years minimum term in prison on Monday for murdering a complete stranger and previously mutilating a cat. Sent to a male prison, thankfully. However, identifies as a trans woman. We had an extraordinary situation where wonderful J.K. Rowling spoke out about the fact that this was not a woman, even though all of the court copy, the court police, all of the newspapers referred to this as a woman, not even trans woman often, saying he, she and her, when in fact, as J.K. Rowling pointed out, these are not our crimes. It's been revealed by the Telegraph today that even though Scarlett Blake is a man, even though Scarlett Blake has been sent to a man's prison because he's a man, there are clues. Scarlett Blake's crimes will be officially recorded in official statistics as the crimes of a woman. What do you make of that?
I don't know. I find the whole thing so terribly depressing, because we've got institutions and professions, including those working in the judiciary and elsewhere, who are essentially kind of propping up this madness. And then the problem is that the media outlets take those statements and then start reporting it, about it in the same way. So we've got, on the one hand, saying they're going to a male prison, on the other hand, still referring to them with, she, her pronouns and calling them female.
Yeah.
And collectively, we are just promoting all of this madness. I mean, people, eventually are going to have to take a bit of courage here and start to stand up for what is biologically accurate, and I find myself saying more and more that I will not refer to somebody by their preferred pronouns. I will refer to people by their biological sex. And if someone wants to come along and arrest me for that, then go ahead.
I'm with you all the way. J.K. Rowling said she'll go to prison for that. So would I. James Esses, great to hear from you, founder of the Declaration for Biological Reality. Keep up the great work. Quick word from Claire.